Good Friday morning, guys. I'm Jerry Miller, and this is Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us. It's a pleasure to connect with you guys through our studio in downtown Charlottesville. Today's program is going to be filled with data, education, entertainment, and enlightenment on today's Friday edition of Real Talk with Keith Smith. Judah Wickhauer, our director. One programming note, our star, Keith Smith, is heading to St. Martin tomorrow, so he returns in the middle of December to Real Talk with Keith Smith, but we have many capable and talented guest hosts
and better
that will join us in his stead. Judah Wickhauer is our... Oh, Stat, thank you. No one heard you since your mic wasn't on, nor was it in front of you.
No, it was in front of him.
But it just wasn't on. What was that? Can you say that again for us there?
Stead.
Stead, in his stead. Thank
Voice
you very
of God.
much. Voice
Stead.
of God. Judah Wickhauer, if we can go to the studio camera and welcome Keith Smith and the Woody Fincham to the program. Gentlemen, a Friday good morning to you.
Good morning.
The in capitals, by the way. The Woody Fincham.
It's like the Ohio State University, the Woody Fincham. Realtors watching the program, I see them already, but gentlemen, where would you like to start?
So I'll just kick off, and we're going to let Woody jump in because I know he's been crunching some exciting numbers, and today's big data day, and we love data.
I love data.
But you know, we this time last year, I actually went back and looked at the tape. Is that a thing now? Is it a tape or
You
digital?
can call that. It's a phrase. Yeah, it still works.
So I went back and looked at the tape. In December of last year, we were saying that the sales count, the amount of units sold for this year, for 2023, would match 2015. And we'll let Woody Fincham talk a little bit about that. But we're right at exactly within 3 or 4 units difference from 2015. So I was just curious your take on that, and we can jump on it from there.
I mean, that's essentially exactly the same thing. Sounds like someone was right.
Yeah, every once in a while, what is it? A blind squirrel finds an acorn. But if you wouldn't mind, Judah, I didn't label him.
A broken clock's right twice a day.
Yeah. Which slide is that?
I think it's my slide 1.
Okay.
We'll put that on screen over there.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so you know, it's when you take a look at it, you'll see the nice arc of sales. You know, we kind of went up to 2020 and then took a dive back down, and we're kind of ending 2023 where we were at in 2015. But if you take a look at the parallel lines of the median sales price and the average sales price, now I'll add some quantifier to this. This is everything. This is the car footprint. This is Augusta. This is Buckingham. This is the cities of Waynesboro, Stanton. It's everything. Single family, detached, attached, condos, new construction. This is the market on whole. And for the longest time, we were only looking at car, and I'm now starting to look at the other side of the hill in Buckingham because that's kind of where the sales are going.
Yeah.
When we start taking a look at it. But, you know, I wanted to track the median and the average sales, and you know, not exact numbers, but it looks like they're running pretty parallel.
Yeah.
I didn't see that much of a divergence from it. So why don't you talk a little bit about the importance of that average and median are kind of tracking the same?
Well, I mean, it makes sense that they would be. It just shows that. I mean, the difference between median and average are just basically. Median's not as affected by the outliers as much, so it's usually a better number to run, especially when you're dealing with this much data, because you're dealing with a lot of disparate markets. So, but I mean, I'm looking at it, it definitely is running parallel. There's no question there.
And that's the reason I did this morning. I wanted to see if there was any divergence between averages and pendings, and it seems, now keep in mind, this is only October and November, right? So I'm looking at the first 2/3
right.
of the fourth quarter, and a little announcement, by the way, the good Dr. Lisa is agreed to January 5th.
Lisa Sturtevant in the house, January 5th.
Physically here.
Yeah, oh my gosh, car agents, you're going to want to put that on your calendar. The 5th of January, the chief economist for Bright on Real Talk with Keith Smith. That's right. That's big time.
That's
big time.
I'm looking forward to it. She's a lot of fun and brings she don't hold back.
No, I know.
She tells you what she's thinking.
Well, one of my favorite things, and I'll throw it to Woody, and you can go anywhere you want. One of my favorite things of Dr. Sturtevant is she sees things not through rose-colored glasses. She is. I've heard economists speak, and I won't mention anyone. The mayor just walked by. You saw him, Woody, there.
I did.
I've heard economists speak, and depending on who their employers are, the commentary is, I don't want to say skewed, but encouraged or influenced by their employer. In Dr. Sturtevant's case, that is not the case. That's not the case.
She's always been like that, so.
Yeah.
She's frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, economists in general it's the dismal science, right? So they have to, some of them have to have better bedside manner than others because their job's political, I guess is one way to say it. Dr. Sturtevant definitely, she takes the gloves off and gives you the data. I mean, and lets the data tell the story rather than trying to lead the story, I think.
So Woody, what the folks that are watching and listening,
Yeah.
realtors in particular, you crunched a little bit of numbers this morning. What do you want them to take away from today's conversation?
Zeke Mora is curious. He's in Newport News. William Whitley is curious. I see realtors from, let's see, Real Estate 3, Long and Foster, Nest, Keller Williams, another Real Estate 3, Howard Hanna on the program right now. Real Estate 3, join us, and all the agents watching, join us in the conversation. Woody, the show is yours.
I got a great cross-section of folks there. One of the things that I noticed when I was looking at my data this morning is that it really does look like we're heading back into a very seasonality-oriented market. You know, where the winter is going to be a little bit slower. The data you sent over yesterday, Keith, was really interesting. I forget the company.
So it's I'm looking it up while you're doing that. Please chat a little bit.
Their data is showing seasonality is returning nationally, but
Yeah,
I think locally we're seeing it as well. A couple of charts I ran this morning, we did active listings, days on market, and then the last 90 days, days on market, and it looks like we're seeing a lengthening in the active market stuff. And Judah, if you've got those slides, we've got, slide 5 is the one that I wanted to really emphasize this morning.
All right.
Larry Ellis, we'll get to your comments in a matter of moments. One of the talented appraisers in our country has got questions. Woody,
Awesome.
show is yours.
So if you look here, you see that there's a strong uptick in days on market for active listings. And this is active listings as of right now, or as of this morning at about 7 o'clock. And we really jumped up. And I'll leave that on there just for a minute for everybody to kind of take it in that's watching. But and if we could switch back over to slide 3, what I want everybody to look at is the difference between the closed sales days on the market versus how many days on market we've got for actives. And this is it's a big jump. And what it's showing you, the noise in the data that we have to talk about a little bit, it's the elephant in the room, is that the current active market is the ones that are really high days on market are going to basically be the ones that are struggling the most. Maybe not the best condition, maybe they're overpriced kind of deal. But I think what it's leading to is that we're going to see, that happening across the board from now until probably about March, you think?
You're basically saying we're returning to a seasonal market.
To a normal market, yeah.
To a normal market. Mm-hmm. That's what he's saying. That's different from what you've said in the past.
Yeah, and I think the debate to have, Woody, is, we're talking about DOMs, right?
Yeah.
And is there, and this is something Lisa and I were talking about, is there a new reality on DOMs? In other words, it used to be 90 days DOM, something like that. That's when it kind of moved from a seller's market from a buyer's market to a seller's market, or a seller's market to a buyer's market, right? I don't think it's that any longer. I think it's closer to maybe 60 days or so.
45, 60.
45, 60 days. Yeah. So I think that's important to kind of chat a little bit about, because those of us that are long in the tooth and been around the business for a couple of few decades, we've got 90 days in our head. And we're currently at, again, for the car footprint, roughly 32 on average and 7 on median.
Those are closed sales, correct?
These are closed sales, right? So I know you're looking at a moving a moving target. I'm just looking at closed sales for the moment. But yeah, I honestly think we're going to see things pick up because the interest rates dropped a little bit, or it's being stable anyway. We're getting a bunch of phone calls for the agents who are watching. Maybe they can.
We got a broker talking, a mortgage broker.
Echo that. Back on the good Dr. Lisa Sturban, I read an article this morning in RAS Media that she's projecting about 6.5 to kind of float out for 2024, which I think is a safe bet. Some people think a little lower. I think 6.5 is a good safe bet on it, but I really think you're going to see more buyers come into market. You're definitely not going to have a lot of inventory. I don't think you're going to see a huge spike in inventory.
No, I don't either. But I mean, I don't think we're disagreeing at all. I think the strong delta shift that I'm showing on this one chart, I think, is just an indicator that the market's starting to head back to the seasonality thing, which means that it's going to look strong right now, but it doesn't, because you're talking 90 days being the old normal. Well, the chart that we just put up, it stops at 80 days. It doesn't even go all the way to 90.
So the article you were referring to, I just wanted to make sure I got the pronunciation right. It's Attom, Attom,
right.
And this is the national firm. They generally look at all the real estate data. They used to focus a lot on foreclosures, but since that is like non-existent, they've pivoted to this. So what they did, and I emailed over to Judah a little infographic.
That infographic is so minuscule that it cannot be shown.
Okay, got it.
That it's the
disregard
resolution of.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. But what it talks about, and if anybody's interested, they can DM me and I'll send it to them. It talks about.
I couldn't see it.
Got it.
Yeah.
It talks about best days to buy.
Don't.
The best day to buy, believe it or not, is January 9th, because that's when the values are the best. And as you go through the month of the year, it talks about when's the best day. It's a pretty awesome study. So if anybody's interested, we can go ahead and send them the link. I'm a member of Adam, so I can send it out. But
it's from Michael Buchensky talking about rates. First Heritage Mortgage. Buchensky is fantastic at what he does with First Heritage Mortgage. Coach B, we've dubbed him on the program. He says it will be seasonal until rates drop. Expectations are mortgage rates will settle back into the 5% in 2024.
Yeah,
that will be key for stimulating the market, as folks with those 2%, 3%, and 4% rates will feel better going from those to a 5-ish% rate versus a 7% rate. Better times are coming, Coach B says. First Heritage Mortgage, Mike Buchensky. He also says when rates move, inventory will move as well. Well, welcome to the program, Gracie Haynes. She's watching the show right now. We'll welcome Caitlin Mancini to the program, Gary Palmer to the program, Lindsay Beltran to the program, real estate investor Seth Liskey watching the program, insurance aficionado and expert Brian Yeagle, Katie Pearl, hello and welcome to the program. We got a boatload of agents watching the show. He says 5% in 2024.
Yeah, it may have a 5 in it. I hope he's right. I just think you're going to be looking more at something in the 6s for next year. But look, I may be wrong. We're going to find out next year when we sit down to do the show, December of next year. I think our inventory will increase, but our inventory is not going to increase. I think the volume of buyers will outpace anything as far as inventory coming on the market. We are going to be sticky with inventory, in my opinion, any type of normalcy or balance, I think, for many, many years to come.
Roger West watching the program. Roger, I'm going to get to your comments here in a matter of moments. Before I do, I want to highlight, because I'm trying to keep this in order, they're coming in fast now. Let's go to Larry Ellis. He says, Woody put me onto this show. He loves the show. Awesome. He says this, I wanted to see if you guys think, although prices have been steadily increasing according to your chart, do you expect prices to go down?
No. As
the sales numbers decrease?
No, like Coach B was just talking, he's very optimistic on what he thinks the rates are going to do.
I would say very bullish.
Regardless of what the rates do, I think the amount of buyers are going to outpace the amount of inventory, meaning pricing is going to continue to go up. I don't see us going down or even normalizing on value or prices right now. So, if rates do drop that much, I think it's going to become even more competitive than it already is, and it's super competitive still.
Oh my gosh,
So,
super competitive. So Buchensky doubles down on his comments
Doubles down, I
and
love it.
says, I am right, baby.
Okay, love it.
He says 5% in 2024, in the 5% range, not 5%.
Okay, well, that's a, whoa.
Okay, I'll ask for clarification.
Let's bet a bottle of bourbon on this one.
Well, you're betting with
Co-
Michael
Coach
Buchensky
B,
right here.
and I don't know him personally.
First Heritage Mortgage.
But he is a baseball guy, right?
He's a basketball coach.
Basketball, okay.
Coached his kids, but his job, he pays his bills. He's damn good at it. Michael, I'm giving you some props here. He's a mortgage broker with First Heritage Mortgage, has a fantastic reputation. Pushed a deal through for Denise Ramey over the last few days. What specifically are you saying, Michael Buchensky? Are you saying it's going to be in 2024, the rates are going to have a 5 in front of it, or do you want to drill down to something specific? For example, if I put an over-under at 5.5, are you going to say, are we going to see under 5.5 in
December.
2024? By close of business 2024, will we see under 5.5, Coach B?
As the average.
I don't want to say as the average.
Okay.
Will applicants with good credit that are one of the best qualified applicants be able to obtain a sub 5.5 rate?
Well, why don't you just tie it to the Freddie or Fannie rate? That's
You can tie it that way.
Yeah.
If I see sub 5.5 by close of business 2024, I get off the stacks of equity we have and I put it into play. I would do that.
But this is what's
and that's what Zillow said.
Yeah, but I think Zillow is wrong. Look,
I mean, Zillow basically saying what he's saying, that if we get into the mid-5s, people with the equity are going to put their houses into the game.
But gentlemen, this is starting already, and my prediction is once this starts stabilizing and going backwards, the people that are sitting on the sidelines on the buyer pool that can afford it are going to jump in, sucking out inventory off of it.
100%.
So even when you hit this 5.5 magically at the end of the year, and I that may actually happen. I just don't think you're going to see the inventory get to such a level. I just did some quick math from 2020, October, November 2020 versus October, November 2023. There was a 56% drop in volume in sales, but there was over a 20% increase, and I used average price on that. There was a 20% increase in prices. This trajectory, if you take a look at that slide I did, and I predicted this, I think next year you're going to start seeing kind of a crossing. You're going to start seeing inventory kind of stabilizing or staying down, but prices are going to pass that, and we're going to have a crossover. And I think we're going to see it in December, that you're going to see a crossover where the inventory is going to continue to drop, prices are going to continue to rise. My bet is 3 to 6% this time next year is the range we're going to be at.
3% to 6%?
Yeah,
that's quite a range.
No, year over increase in value.
Oh, okay, value increase.
In value.
Okay, Buchensky says this: it depends on the program. Government loans, yes. Conventional loans, conventional loans, 5.99-ish, give or take. Prices will not drop. They will get higher once rates drop. So we will be back in a really competitive buyer's market. His better half, SHB, Sarah Hill Buchensky, watching, she's a realtor. She says there's literally almost no way to catch up on inventory. So simply lack of inventory versus buyer demand, prices are not going down at all.
Now, let's add a little context to that. Micro markets will matter, right? There's
Absolutely.
certain markets. So let me ask you a question. You're all over the area. Do you see some areas you work in, let's say Nelson County, not to pick on Nelson County, but do you see Nelson County more stabilizing in prices? Is there anything out there within our footprint that you're not seeing a rapid increase or going backwards?
We're seeing increases everywhere. Nelson is slowed down. They have slowed down quite a bit. It's not, I think people are less likely to take riskier positions right now because they're not sure what the market's going to do.
And it's costly.
Yeah, Nelson's always been sort of an
outlier.
It's a second home market because of the wintergreen and that stuff. But in the end, I mean, we're not seeing as much appreciation there. We just did a package of private work over there. And it's still appreciating, but it's not appreciating at the same change that we're seeing in interior Charlottesville. I think people are done speculating. I mean, the secondary market, second home market and short-term rental markets really slowed down. I mean, we're not getting as many calls in with people interested in having short-term rental property appraised right now.
So you're seeing that slowing down?
It's slowing down.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think what our bet's going on, the city zoning rewrite that would happen in December, you see a spike in that in 2024?
Well, I mean, effectively, liquidity is to get capital now is so expensive compared to where it was a year ago.
Yeah.
That I think folks are, when you're at 3%, 4% as an investor, it's almost interest-free money if you know what you're doing. But as it's gotten higher now, people are going, I'm not willing to take as much speculative risk. So, and a lot of lenders out there are not wanting to lend on short-term rentals the way they were. I mean, you've got hard money out there, you've got cash buyers, but and cash is still king. But we're just not seeing as much.
We had one of our tenants that approached us before Thanksgiving and said, we want to buy the space we're renting from you, Jerry. And I said, I'm open-minded to it. Everything's for sale.
Sure.
Right? Everything's for sale. They went to multiple brokers to get a loan to purchase. They had to put down 30%.
Yeah.
30%.
Yeah.
And then they were coming at a rate that was a point, almost 2 points above where a good buyer with a 30-year fix buying a residential house. And they were not as sophisticated because this was their first jump into commercial, and they did not realize that it was extremely different from residential.
There's a whole show.
Still pursuing it.
Whole show into itself. It's a whole different world, and you're spot on. It's minimum. If you're super lucky, it's 20% down. I'm starting to see deals between 40 and 50% down right now, with anywhere between 1.5 and 2 points. And generally, construction money, investment money, commercial money is usually tied to prime.
Yeah.
And prime is a little high. So right now.
Let's get to some of the comments here. Roger has this question, and he doesn't want to get political, but he said that, how is the election in November going to impact things? He's specifically looking for Woody's take on this. He says, I'm not trying to be political, but will political parties or who wins the presidential election have something to do with what happens? He says that I believe it depends on who the presidential nominees are and who wins, and he thinks that's going to influence the economic climate.
We're talking November next year.
We're talking, and we're now, 11 months from that, Woody?
Yeah, the bigger players in the market, between what's going on overseas right now with the conflicts that we've got going on, of course, petrol affects everything. The election, I don't know that it affects as much as people like to make it out to. I always go back to 40 years ago. If Jimmy Carter would have stayed in office, things, I don't think it really changed anything, right? Right now, I don't know that either party, because both of the major political parties right now are essentially the same thing with just different branding. And is it really going to matter to the overall market? I don't know. We've got a dark horse candidate running right now with Kennedy in, who's going to pull votes from both sides. And again, I don't want to get political either. That's not what the show's for. But if that guy stays in the race, it's really going to destabilize the race on both sides.
Destabilize.
So, yeah, definitely. And will it affect rates? God only knows. That's a big old crystal ball there that I don't know how to work that one.
Buchansky, Michael, you want to touch on that? First Heritage's finest. Kevin Higgins, we'll get to your comments. Keith Smith.
Yeah. So look, as a general big rule, federal politics generally do not impact local real estate markets. The state races and the local races impact them more than that. If we're focusing on interest rates and all that stuff, look, we just talked about it. Not to be overly insensitive about it, but if we're somewhere between 5.5 and 6.5, that is below the average from 1972 of 7.1%. It's kind of the norm where the world usually is. The business is going to be done and transacted back and forth, but it's the inventory problem. And look, it's just economics 101. We just don't have enough inventory to go ahead and do that. While you guys were talking, I was trying to take a look at Albemarle County and just break down the 750 and up market, because they just changed the jumbo amount, right? And I wanted
726 and change.
and I wanted just to see what that was looking. I didn't quite do that before I jumped in, so I'm going to continue to do that.
Go back
with
to
you guys.
Roger's question really quickly. I mean, usually Virginia gives, because we have our major Senate race just before the year before the presidential race, the way timing works out, it's generally an indicator of what's going to happen.
It's a bellwether.
For the first time in my adult life, I'm going, I don't think this one's going to actually represent what's going to happen. If things stay the same between the candidates,
If things stay the same, you're saying Biden-Trump.
That's
what you're saying.
I think Biden-Trump, and I think Trump's going to take the election because I don't think Biden's electable. And I think...
Oh, you're actually predicting that, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Buchensky says, I'll get political. The feed is blowing up right now. Okay, he says this: the market was getting better. Powell verbally stopped it, stating we want to leave the option open to raise rates. This was a political move. Reason, they want to time it so everything improves in the run-up to November so the current administration can say, look how well we are doing. This happened in Obama's last term. Unemployment was high his entire presidency, so for the most part, and the month before the election, it dropped dramatically. Then after, it went back up. He says it's a shell game. Buchensky getting political in the comments right now. I appreciate the take and authenticity from Coach right there.
Yeah, so...
You want to touch that, Smith? Smith's not going to touch that.
Smith's not going to touch that. There's three rules, right? But look, the reality of it is elections do matter, right? To coin our dear friend Neil Williamson, it does matter. I think local and state matter more in the housing space.
Absolutely.
Than the federal does. Now, there are things called executive orders, and there could be executive orders issued to try to impact that. But generally, as a rule of thumb, on the federal side, it generally does not have a huge impact on it. Now, what I would be curious about Coach B, because as I'm crunching numbers here, because what is right now, I have 800 credit score, very low debt. I have no credit card debt. Like a Fannie Mae product. What are we at today at the 30-year? Because I think he may be closer than I'm admitting on the federal product, right? So the federal government can impact that, but technically they're separate, right? It's a separate organization, right? The Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac is a separate organization. It's not supposed to have any impact from the administration on that. Or am I living in a la-la land on that?
Well, I mean, they're government-sponsored entities, so they're actually private corporations that are quasi-public whenever it suits them. So, I mean, it's sort of back and forth on that. But, I mean, what they do in the GSEs should not matter to what's going on or what's happening in the federal government. Those are two different things.
Sandra Hard giving Woody Fincham some props right now. Thank you for watching the program, Sandra. Comments are coming very quickly. So this is a good one from just down the road in North Downtown. And Buchensky says 6.99% to 7% for conventional.
On the Fed side, on the federally backed side.
So this one's right down the road in North Downtown. So
be right.
Are you boys saying that when rates drop, we're going to get back to COVID insanity of inspection and appraisal waivers?
Possibly.
And multiple offers to the point you have to make a decision within 24 hours?
I mean, you're going to...
Thank you for that question, G.
Back to a market where highest and best is going to be super important. I mean, you're going to have to be able to close the deal and guarantee the seller that you can make the transaction happen. So, I mean, Keith can speak better to this than I can, but I mean, it wouldn't...
That's right, I am a real estate agent.
Yeah, I don't... It would not shock me whatsoever if we get back to
we've been talking about this for a while. I really, unless there is some miraculous spike in inventory, right? I think in micro locations, you're going to see, if Coach B is right, and he may be righter than I'm thinking at this point, you're going to see these buyers come in. Now, sellers are sitting on the sideline waiting for interest rates to drop, right? Because we got this golden handcuff thing that's on them, but the balance is just going to continue to be out of whack. on it. And, as even though more product is coming on the line, more homes are coming on the line, more buyers are going to come on the line. And, the likelihood of going back to what I call the insanity is pretty strong. I'd give that an 8 out of 10 possibility.
8 out of 10.
I really will. If we get to that 5.5, and that's what the point I've been trying to make here is the smart money, right? As soon as this interest rate stabilizes and starts working its way down, the people that can afford it are going to jump in the market and start buying. I've already see it by the phone calls that I'm getting right now.
Yeah.
They're going to stop it. They're going to jump in and buy, and they're going to start sucking out whatever inventory is. And they're going to be sucking out the inventory based on the 6 things, right? Location, price, features, condition, and timing, and who's on the other side matters. And I just don't think it's going to be like, the kid that put his finger in the dike, right? It's just not going to hold the water back. I think these buyers are just going to come in droves.
This comment is a good one. How about the folks that have to sell their home to utilize their equity to buy the next one? Where do they stand, and do they even have a chance?
I mean, I've gotten at least a dozen phone calls from realtor colleagues over the last couple of weeks where they're getting ready to go into listing appointments and pitch. And they're like, well, I've got this property in this subdivision, and the seller is $50,000 too high walking into it. And so
he or she believes the house is worth.
The house is overpriced.
Yeah, they're trying to overprice it right out of the gate, and the agents are starting to pump the brakes on it, and they're calling folks like me, and they're saying, hey, what's your expert opinion on what we should be doing here? I mean, is there really support because we don't want to list it too high and then leave it on the market to just sit.
So one of them is our agents, and I'm happy to share with everybody. Candace Vanderlinda joined our team, our partnership, so she's on our partnership. But she was telling me yesterday in the meeting that she went ahead and reached out to you on a property to do that very thing.
Yeah, she's one of the ones I just talked to. Yeah, definitely.
So those agents out there, like, we're doing the right thing here. Reach out to Woody. You have a program that you can do this with. That go ahead and bring in your expertise to help, because. Let's be real about this. So what's happening is the seller saw me sell my house for $20,000, I'm picking a number, over what I listed it for. So therefore, that's what the price must be.
Right.
The prices of the homes are not going down. They're stabilizing their increase. And so they see this 20 grand and think, okay, well, then I'm going to ask for 20,000 over that. And that's when this market gets a bit unrealistic.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
It does. I mean, consumers oftentimes think they understand what has happened in a transaction. I can't tell you how many times we've come in dealing with a situation where a potential seller is going, this property over here, our property is just like it, and that property sold for $50,000 higher than anything else in the neighborhood, and then they're quoting what it was listed at, but what it actually closed at was a different number. So they're not using great data, and they're putting the listing agent in a bad spot because the listing agent really wants to take on the listing, but they don't want to combat with or have too much discourse with their client. So they usually will call us in to come in and say, well, let's get a third party involved. And we'll end up 90% of the time we end up supporting the listing agent's position on it rather than the seller's position on it, and we sort of help iron those wrinkles out.
Does that help? Does that work? Does that help?
It's amazing to me that a consumer will not listen to the listing agent, but they listen to the appraiser on it. I just always chuckle at that. That's what happens 9 out of 10 times. Now sometimes you get a hard-headed consumer, and they're just like, I don't care what the appraiser says, I don't care what Zillow says, I don't care what the listing agent says. We're worth $50,000 more than everything that any data can support out there. It happens where consumers do that, unfortunately, and those are usually the ones that end up not selling their property, or
it sits there and it gets sticky on the market, which we're now just talked about. Mm-hmm. The days on market is climbing, not dangerously high, maybe kind of trying to work its way towards average.
Well, the market's just transitioning in that direction, and I think it's a seasonality thing. Once we get to March or so, we'll start to see that to tick back down if things stay the same.
This comment's come in, and Buchensky highlights the utilization of a bridge loan for people that need to sell their home to buy the other one. He says First Heritage does that all the time. Kevin Yancey in Waynesboro says, Kevin's got a little bit of a bearish to him. He says, so explain the rationale. People are complaining about how much groceries and gasoline cost. The same folks are not Airbnb-ing and are selectively traveling when they do. And then when are investors going to cut their losses and dump their liabilities?
So he's talking about these rental properties. Is that what we're talking about?
I think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, and actually, I think that's a small, no,
very tiny.
It's tiny, but
You can say but. You're a grown man.
but I don't know. My wife would disagree with you on that, but
Listen to your wife.
thank you.
What is wrong with saying the word but?
I don't know. I'm just trying to get better with my language. So the old silver bullet, silver buckshot thing, right? So this mom and pop, large investors, their numbers aren't working. They're going to start putting some homes in the market. We just don't have a huge percentage of them here.
Right.
And it might be a half of a BB and that shotgun, that silver buckshot on it, but it has to be all these different pieces to go ahead and move the needle forward, and it's not going to move the needle forward. I will tell you, I just broke down 2023 versus 2022, 750 and up. So the average, I used average instead of median. Thank you, sir. Nice smile over there. Was 1.9 million in 23. In 22 is 1.33. So we actually went down a bit from that 750 and up year over year. This is the full year, no new construction. 750 and below, we went up. So 23 was 493, 22 was 477. But you know what I found interesting, Woody? The spread on the 750 and below is pretty much almost the same numbers between average and median. Not the same on the 750.
Well, once you get up into the bespoke and luxury market, that really, the more expensive real estate, the properties are more disparate. I mean, because taste varies so much. It's a smaller pool of data, so the outliers. That's why median would actually work better than average. Going back to math class here, but if you're using average, you're going to have the outliers are going to pull you in different directions depending on where the bulk of the sales are going to be at.
We're about $2,000 to $4,000 difference between the 2 years between average. I mean, it's pretty spot on, awfully on in the 750 and up. We're tens upon tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, you're going to have more outliers pulling you up on that more expensive market because the estates get really different, and taste really starts affecting what's going on.
And I bet you if I plugged in like less than 10 acres, it'd look even different.
Kevin Yancey responds by saying, how many months can they stand zero income, these investors? This is what I do, man, and I know a lot of the investors that the zero income is just not happening. I'm not seeing folks with properties that are vacant and unrented. And the folks that are in the Airbnb game, I'll be straightforward, I have a lot of friends that are in the Airbnb game. They're having tremendous success keeping their Airbnbs full. And I'll also cut to the chase even more. The city is having an incredible difficult time of even monitoring Airbnbs. I mean, folks are running Airbnbs not by the letter of the law, and nothing is happening to them.
I think if we were talking about retail commercial space,
it's different.
That would be a different conversation.
Even that, I mean,
it depends on the use, right? It depends on the use. And it depends on where you are. On Kevin's side of the mountain, certain areas there might be some vacant retail space, but
maybe some on Route 29.
Not a lot.
There's not a ton of vacant commercial around here.
And the only reason I know that is because one of the things we're looking at with the Regional Housing Partnership in Albemarle County is what does it look like to convert these commercials into residential? And there's just nothing out there to actually do that with, right? Change the zoning text amendments to allow residential in it. I think it's a great tool that they should adopt. It's a low-hanging fruit, but much like the Charlottesville's zoning the zoning rewrite,
it's going to have little impact.
And this is going to take a wall. This will be a slow. It's just like the aircraft carrier. It's going to take a long time before it gets up to full speed.
Neil calls it evolution and not a revolution.
Absolutely.
The president of the Free Enterprise Forum, which I think is very, very well said here. Here's an interesting comment that's come in. This one's come in from Kelsey, who's watching the program, and she says, do the panelists think the loans or the homes that are priced above the jumbo threshold, we're talking about the million plus echelon, Do they think the demand will be there at the same frequency or momentum as the homes below the jumbo threshold?
No, they're two different animals. Our firm specializes in luxury real estate, and you're talking about a group of consumers who can basically write a check a lot of times for whatever they want. They may use a mortgage to do what they're doing, but they're doing it for tax purposes or to take the benefit of having the loan, or to just keep their liquidity in the bank. So that market is insulated from what happens in the regular market. Where I live at Lake Monticello, that market it changes almost seasonally when we're back to a normal market. But when you get into the Farmingtons and the upper part of Glenmore and places like that, that's a market that is relatively insulated from everything else. You've got a whole different class of consumers there.
945 homes in Glenmore, count them, three on the market, literally right now. Yeah. That is a percentage of what? I mean, what is that? We're talking
It's zero, essentially.
Yeah, essentially zero. And one of the three is just priced incorrectly and has been on the market for months.
Yeah.
The other two are within the 60-day marker and still, considerable for purchasing. Keith's got something to say.
Yeah. So I was quickly trying to take a look at Lake Monticello while you guys were doing that, because you know how much I like trying to do Lake Monticello. And the other thing that I'm going to be able to do while you guys are answering a couple other questions, back on this Albemarle County 750 and up, this upper end thing, I want to take a quick look at how much of those were cash so far this year. To your point, I think you're going to see that, the quote unquote luxury market, and I'm not so sure 750 is the luxury market.
I don't think so. I don't think it's $1 million is the luxury market.
I do not think it's.
I think it's $1.5 million now.
We're seeing VA loans for upper middle class. I don't know the right demographic word to use anymore. At $900,000, people are buying what I would consider to be pretty middle of the road stuff. It's new construction. It's nice property, but it's not super luxury. It's not the luxury property.
So on this January 5th show, right, we're going to take a look at what the real averages and medians are, right, and on it. And my suspicion is, we're gonna be in the north of 500,000 as the average and potentially the median in the car footprint,
right,
on that end of it. So 750, I don't count that as luxury. So
I think luxury is now $1.5 million and up. I mean, you have homes that I love the MLS, I love data, homes that are well over $1 million, $1.1 million, $1.2 million, $1.3 million, where you're talking about homes that need new kitchens, new roofs,
That's exactly right.
Gutted, that people will gut.
Yeah, I get it.
Neil Williamson watching the program. We love you, Neil. Thank you kindly for watching the show. So here's the question for you, and it sounds like Keith is looking this up. How many of the houses in this echelon are trading with all cash? And the follow-up, how about sales in the area that are all cash?
Well, that's what I'm looking at, sales. So we'll know, because we'll know what trades on it. What we need to do is pick a number, gentlemen, right? So am I doing 750, 850?
Sure, do 750 to start.
To 750, okay.
Yeah, that would be
I pivoted to 1.5.
I always go back to, because we do a lot of VA loans.
I'm going to pick 850.
And the reason I like to use VA as a good indication of what's going on is because most of the time when we're dealing with VA, we're dealing with people who are no longer in service, they're retired. So they've got they may have a good income from their retirement and whatever they're doing for a living now, but they sort of go middle of the road with most of it. But I've seen a lot of above $800,000 to $900,000 in these types of VA loans, where they're buying new construction and they're spending $850,000, $900,000, $950,000
well, look,
for these homes.
Decent, new construction right now, unless it's a townhome, which is definitively going to have a 4 in front of it.
Sure.
Right? A single-family detached home.
That might be light.
I would agree with that. A new construction single-family detached is going to have an 8 in it, which will be light.
Yeah.
That's kind of the minimal end of it.
Yeah. I mean, you look at North Point and Galaxy. What's the neighborhood there off of 20?
You would have to do that to us.
We've done several VAs in there over the last couple of weeks, and those right where you're talking.
So Albemarle County, single-family detached, no new construction. Oh wow, this is interesting. No new construction, right? total sales year to date 256, so that's 850 and up. No, I took out new construction because that's going to really skew it up. So there was 256. This answers the question. 256 sales, 120 of them were cash.
Yeah.
That's bananas.
Yeah, 120.
You're talking basically 50%.
Yeah. By the way,
Cash is
for
king.
VA.
Did you hear what he said, viewers and listeners? Year to
100
date, what was the price threshold?
So I did 850 this time. I think 750 is too low.
Yeah.
So I did 850 and up.
$850,000 and up.
Albemarle County.
Albemarle County for existing construction, no new construction.
Single family.
256 sales for single-family detached homes. Of those 256, 120 were all cash purchases. That makes a statement right there.
Yeah, I'm just double checking. I got everything clicked off right because I'm doing this live. So
Yeah.
sold detached Albemarle County, 850 and up, 010123 to 120123. So there's no sales have closed today because it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning. 256. Average 1.365, median 1.75. Average days on market 40, medium days on market 5, and then I got to switch to another report because this takes.
That's bananas. That makes a
little
statement right
clunky.
there.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that, no, you know what? They wouldn't
120 cash.
they wouldn't even go and refinance after closing into a loan product because the rates are too high. Those are straight up cash purchases, right?
Yeah, so interesting. 5 were arms, which I don't get, but 120 cash, 117 conventional fixed, so that's your traditional 30-year mortgage, 1 owner financing, by the way, 7 other, which we don't know what that is, and 4 VAs on it.
What do you make of that?
By the way, to kind of touch a little bit on the commission topic.
Yeah.
So there's another stat that they have in here. So it's called co-op sales.
Yeah.
So out of 256, 225 of them were co-op sales. So there was a very
Break that down.
well. Basically, there was. I'm just going to round the numbers: 250 versus 225. So there was 25 sales that did not have an agent on the other side. So it only had one side of an agent, which it clearly says the market requires 2 agents, right? Because otherwise you wouldn't.
But that doesn't say, playing devil's advocate for the sake of a talk show, that doesn't say what the buyer's agent commission is.
No. This is just.
It just says that there was a buyer's agent.
That's it.
It doesn't show how the buyer's agent was compensated.
No. Well, actually, I could do that, but the show would be over before I figure
That would take
out.
some drilling down.
I get it.
That's Paragon right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, your favorite platform over there, right, Keith Smith?
It's what the one I got to work with.
It's good.
When I got to work with. The good thing, look, I throw a bit of shade on it every once in a while. The good thing
It's
about
got great data.
the thing about it is it's highly pliable, and you can do what we're talking about on that. Some of these other slides that I do from these other platforms I have, I can't manipulate it at all.
Right.
Manipulate's the wrong choice of words. I can't drill into the data anymore. It tells me what it is.
Filter.
Yeah, filter.
Neil Williamson, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum, is watching, and he's interacting with Kevin Yancey in the feed. I'd love for you to give your take to Mr. Williamson on DZO that's right around the corner of being approved. I think Keith's going to actually win our prop bet here, and that could be approved in 2023. Your thoughts on how the DZO or the upzoning, the new zoning ordinance in Charlottesville City is going to influence things, Woody?
I think you're firing a BB at an asteroid. I mean, it's not going to affect it greatly at all. The only thing that's going to affect our market here locally is for us to open up some development zones and actually have some new dirt to build on. This is an incremental evolution versus revolution. I like what Neil says there. I agree with it 1,000%. I mean, we're talking about a very small change in the overall market because, I mean, how many properties are actually going to take advantage of this? Some will, of course, but you know, is it going to make affordability better here? Absolutely not. I mean, why would someone invest, $150,000, $250,000 into a property, changing it over so they have another unit or two for accessory dwelling units, and then not charge the most premium rent they can get on
Bingo.
it, right? I mean,
There it is.
rent's at a premium now, and it's continuing to go up. I don't see
Is
that
it really
changing.
continuing to go
Yeah.
up? Are you seeing that?
Rent is going
It's
up.
interesting. Nationwide, it's not.
No, but here locally.
Here it is.
It's going up.
We're a major university town. I mean, and
nationwide, it's actually stabilizing.
And with all the research going on here and all the professional jobs that are happening here, NGIC is tooling up. We've got the data science school tooling up. We've got all this other stuff happening over the next few years. It's just going to continue to stress the market, and rent's going to remain at a premium because we're not built. There's no way we can build enough new construction over the next couple of years to satisfy demand.
You just won't get
Very
it.
well said.
You just won't get it approved.
Well,
it just will take.
Yeah.
There's two entities that are on the hot seat here, and those two entities are UVA and Albemarle County, because the city's got no more dirt for development.
Right.
Albemarle County's got is throttling the development to 5%, and the University of Virginia is basically playing the game. We're the economic driver of the region. We're doing our part. We don't need to do anything else. So those are the two entities on the hot seat over there. What are you looking at over there, Keith?
Oh, I'm just trying to see what the percentage of sales were cash from 850 and up and 850 and
I mean,
down.
playing devil's advocate for a second, Charlottesville could become part of the solution, but it would require air right development. We have to go up vertically rather than staying horizontal. But there's no appetite for that, and it's never going to happen, at least not in my lifetime. We want to keep that Jeffersonian overlay. I get it. It's part of what makes our region so charming and lovely to live in. But, I mean, that's the only way Charlottesville changes that. Albemarle changes it by horizontal development, and we've got to move out into some of the rural areas and start turning up some dirt for some new houses.
Well said, Woody. What'd you find there, Keith?
25% of 850 and up were cash sales. So I haven't worked on the 850 and down, what percentage of that, but I just was curious while you guys were chatting how much of the sales above 850 were in cash.
Ben Lynch, welcome to the program.
Hey,
He's
Ben.
a realtor in the game. Nicholas Erpy watching the show right now.
He's
Thank you
also
kindly.
one of our new team members.
Thank you.
Partners.
Ben Lynch, one of the new partners of Yes Realty Partners. The team at Yes Realty Partners is growing. Props to them.
Props to Yonna.
Props to Yonna. Viewers and listeners, if you have comments, put them in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. This is a good question for both Woody and Keith. Do you expect the volume with rates dropping to return to any level of COVID? If so, what year of COVID?
Oh, no. Great question. Wow.
COVID is a once-in-a-generation thing. I don't think we'll ever get back to it. We'd have to go down to where we were rate-wise again, and that's not going to happen, I don't think. I mean, my crystal ball is still very murky, but competition is going to remain very high. Inventory is short, prices are going up, so it's still going to be a competitive market. I just don't think we're going to be back to where we were 2 years ago.
The short answer is no. Is Coach B still watching?
Coach B
So I would, or somebody, we can take a quick look at it.
Hold on, I'll let you know.
What was the average 30-year interest rate in 2015? And I think it had a 4 in front of it. I may be wrong. Somebody would have to go take a look at that real quick and do that.
I got
it. The reason I'm asking that, so if we're matching sales to 2015, I haven't had an opportunity, to look at what the 30-year was at that particular point in time. But were we able to?
Let's see here. I got a 30-year chart coming up here in a matter of moments.
So we're looking at 2015 average.
Okay. You are looking at, right around 4%.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
So we are at 2015 volume of sales at 4%. We are now at 7 and change, or below 6, depending on which program you're under, and we're still at the same volume of sales. So we're, let's call it 2 points on the light side. It's probably closer to 3 points.
Yep.
Higher than we were in 2015, and we're at the same sales volume. And by the way, you jumped from average. You jumped from 284 to 480. Now, keep in mind the numbers I'm quoting you are everything, right? This is both sides of the hill, Buckingham, all product types. But we're just looking at ratios for this conversation. 2020, which we would call the height, we were at 1,207 closed sales in October and November of 2020. We are now at 776.
Deep Throat says this. He's watching on Twitter. Apartment list data has Charlottesville rents flat since March of this year. Latest data is November. Deep Throat, thank you for that intel.
So he's 1,000% right. The multifamily, and to be honest with you, I got some pushback from some nonprofits I'm part of that want to get active in the multifamily, and I'm telling you, I think you need to tamp that down a little bit. I think we're over.
Because you say there's a glut.
Multifamily.
Oh, my goodness, I don't know if I agree with
No,
that.
no. So we got to split that in half, and I'd love what if Deep Throat can.
Deep Throat's not a doctor.
Okay, if Deep Throat can either share my opinion or not. I think the multifamily units are going to stabilize in pricing. The single-family detached and townhomes are going to have incremental increases, very minimal increases. I don't think you're going to see that flat or going backwards. Because all you got to do is look at apartments.com and look at the SFDs and the SFAs and look where they're going. But I think the apartment buildings, quote unquote, I think you're going to see them either flat or drop a little bit in 2020.
You buy that?
No.
I don't buy that.
Now, I've got to separate something here. I'm an expert in 1 to 4 units. So when I talk multi, I'm talking small investment.
Yeah.
We just got done doing a package of 47 of these things. Single-family rents are going up. They're continuing to go up. Now, when you get into the 5+ unit multis, you're getting into institutional investors there. I'm not an expert on that.
So I'm the world that you're talking about, 0 to 6 and all that stuff. I'm putting that in single-family deals,
Yeah.
small projects or sizes. When you start getting into, because in order to build, and I know a little bit about this,
Yeah.
in order to build an apartment complex, multifamily apartment complex, you've got to have a minimum of 100 units to make it work. Minimum. Really need to be closer to 125, 150. 125 is kind of the break-even point right now to make this work, and you need LIHTC money. I mean, it's extremely complicated, and oh, by the way, the runway is like very long for it. So when you are looking at these larger projects, so it's like a report I just read about brokerages, right? 12 and under in agents are super profitable.
That's the wheelhouse.
80 and over
Yeah.
are profitable. Everything in the middle is not making money.
Right.
So that same philosophy.
There's a lot in that category.
95 to 97%
Are in the middle.
of the real estate brokerages in this country are not making money.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
Oh,
Not agents, I'm talking about brokers.
I know, but you've also highlighted the stat on agents themselves.
That's correct.
On the show.
I think we're about 7% make 6 figures and over.
7% of realtors
Plus
make
or minus. Plus
6 figures or over.
And it really depends how you divide your math up, right? It's under 10% for sure. I think if you drill into it even more, you can get that number a little lower. But the reason I use that as an explainer is that's the same thing in multifamily, right?
Sure.
So, the smaller
scalable,
units,
yeah.
the smaller units will do well. The larger units, I think you're going to see them getting flat around here.
Comments coming
Time will
in.
tell.
The guys, I really appreciate you offering comments. You're shaping the show over here. This is a good one for Woody. Which of the jurisdictions locally do you think will have the best price appreciation in 2024?
Probably Albemarle, if I had to guess. I mean, Albemarle is the anchor for our entire region. So, watching it over the last decade, I mean, that's been the case every year, I think. So,
That's the 10-ton elephant in the room.
Yeah.
It's generally that second, as far as value goes, second would be Charlottesville. Then the rest get kind of close, right?
well, then you have to start dividing the markets up because let's look at Louisa, for example. When you're in the western part of Louisa, it's a whole different world than when you get into central Louisa and eastern Louisa. Because once you get to the eastern part of Louisa, you're really in the Richmond MSA at that point. But when you're on the western part, you're still in the Charlottesville MSA. So, I mean, everything.
We have a listing in Mineral, and that's exactly right. It's very interesting. We have a listing in Mineral, and I have not had any local real estate agents show it yet. I got everybody from
Fredericksburg and Warrenton and
Warrenton, from Richmond. And it's very interesting.
Fed Chair Powell literally addressing the world and the nation right now. This literally just came across the ticker 90 seconds ago. He says talks of cutting rates are premature and more hikes very well could happen.
Yeah. Look, I've said this for a while. I think he wants the housing
He is
industry.
live right now.
I think he wants the housing industry or ecosystem to get to feel a little bit more pain. I think that's the outlier. If you pull housing out of the CPI and the inflation number, it's actually closer to where he wants it to be.
Well, it's a pendulum, right? So they've got to get enough momentum on that pendulum to push it past where they want it. Because they always go too far, no matter which direction.
They always start a year too late,
Yep.
and they always stop it a year too late. It's always been that way since I've been been in the
Well,
business.
ever since Volcker,
Yep, that's exactly
I mean, they learned from Volcker, you got to overcompensate in order to make it work.
Bill McChesney, welcome to the program. Woody Fincham, you will be guest hosting, right?
Yes,
What day are you guest
Friday
hosting?
next week.
Next week, Woody Fincham guest hosting for the viewers and listeners that are watching the show. Keith Smith has got Lisa Sturtevant on January 5th.
At the moment, that we've penciled it in. It might tweak a little bit based on her schedule because she's very much so in demand.
The chief economist of Bright in the
But she's
studio.
agreed to come and see us. We're right now penciled in the 5th of January.
This also flew kind of under the radar. You had some fresh news to report on YRP expanding.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We've got two great, awesome folks that joined us, Candace Vanderlyn and Ben Lynch, and we're excited to have them. We're excited to move into 2024 with them, and we're excited to, Yonna and I love coaching and mentoring. We just love to help and coach and mentor awesome folks move the needle forward, and we're excited about it. They're already in the last couple of weeks of the needle's been moving forward for them. So we're excited about doing that.
Yes Realty Partners is expanding with 2 realtors coming to the team. Couple more questions here. This one's a good one for Keith. Where is the new development going to happen that he is seeing?
Well, we've kind of talked about this a bunch of times. You're going to see more units come out of the ground in Greene County because there's a ton in the pipeline.
Right.
But then it's going to stop.
That's our shadow inventory right now.
That is our shadow inventory, right? Then it's going to stop. There's the project in Fulvana County called Colonial Circle. You've got 200 single family attached and detached.
You might know a little bit about that one.
I know a little bit about that one. And then, well, look at you, huh? and then beginning of the first quarter, they're going to start going vertical with their SFDs and SFSAs, single family attached, single family.
Is
detached.
Colonial Circle ever going to do anything about that ugly water tank that sits right there
Oh,
on
brother,
the street?
don't even go down there. Did you do that on purpose?
Yes, he did.
I drive by that every day.
Yes,
I
he
hate
did.
that thing.
You guys met.
When we're off air, we'll talk about that. But I have visions of a particular painting on that water tank that I can't talk about on air.
Brian asked this question about Lake Monticello. You guys talk about this neighborhood all the time. It
Yep.
seems like inventory is not moving that quickly. Why is that the case?
Seasonality is returning. I think we're not going to be back to what we considered a normal market 5 years ago, but we're heading in that direction right now.
And the shocking thing is you have a few listings at the lake right now in the 200s that are not moving.
Yeah.
So why? What? Let's pick that apart here for a second. Why? I'm looking at it real quickly. How many homes are in Lake?
13. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Okay.
4,
I got to take
5,
out. That's without new construction, right?
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12,
I got 11 if
13,
you take new
14,
construction out.
15, 16. 13. If you take paper houses, you're at 13.
Mine's showing 11.
Okay, let's go with
see.
yours, 11.
Let's-
We'll go with
let's-
Paragon.
Yeah. Let's see if that's accurate.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do we got here? We got 259. Started at 279, dropped to 259.
You got a 275.
I got well, my lowest number is 259
Yeah.
at 18 days. The 275 is 11, 317 is 23. Then you got this something out there, 111, which clearly something's not.
259's the Gunnels Group. You
Yeah.
got Quick at 275.
Yeah. So look, let's focus on 11 first, right? We took out all the new construction. We got 11 homes for sale out of 4,300. Mm-hmm. We got 11 homes for sale out of 4,300. And the struggle at this certain price point, we talked about this the other day, right? That's why folks like ISC is so important, Interstate Service Company, to help folks get houses ready. The buyer who's buying 259 at 7% or 6.5%.
Is at the top of their price range.
Well, they don't have the capital.
Yeah, they're at the top of the price range to do remodeling.
They don't have residual cash to make improvements. They
Right.
don't have residual cash to put in, and I have to look at that. I'm going to look at the one that's on for 133 days at 339. There's clearly something. 133 days at 339. There's something there. I don't know the home well. I'd have to go and dig into.
There's
that
a very
bit.
nice one at 8 Fleetwood Drive for $599,
Yeah,
listed by the talented and
Yeah.
very intelligent and beautiful Yonna Smith.
Yeah, there you go. Geez, if you think I'm going to say anything about that, you're nuts.
It's a fantastic house. It's beautiful.
Other than it's a fantastic
Beautiful.
house and happens to adjoin somebody else's house that happens to sit at this table.
It's a fantastic home.
Yeah, yeah. But look, I think at that price point, you know, if the home isn't spot on, you don't have a new roof, your HVAC system is done. Again, can't make enough plugs for ISC. It's a service company. Bring somebody like that in and get it done. Bring in Pearl and get it certified. They bump it by 5%, right? And it will help sell the home. But having all these pieces of the puzzle together matter. But as Coach B, if Coach B is right, when that gets closer to 5.5,
those houses are going to go.
Well, if he's still watching, and I'm not smart enough to do the math in my head, there's a formula there that as the interest rates drop, you can afford more, right? Obviously.
Right.
So I just think some of these homes might just have a little bit more features to go ahead and check.
Woody Fincham with some closing
Conditions,
thoughts on the Friday edition of Real Talk. We're looking forward to you being a guest host a week from today. Any closing thoughts for you, Woody Fincham?
Just happy to have been able to be here today and answer some questions and just chop up some local real estate. If there's anything we can do to help any of the folks out there watching, any of my agent colleagues, if you're dealing with a difficult listing, let us know. We're happy to try to help you and advise you as best we can, and always happy to answer questions.
You mean difficult client?
No, difficult questions was well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just kidding. I was trying to get you back somehow.
Well
Didn't work. Thank you very much for coming in. Thank you for filling in for me when we're gone. Thank you for everybody for putting up with me for 5 years.
He's going to be at St. Martin's. He's going to be traveling to a warm island, leaving tomorrow.
I am. I was thinking this morning, boy, it's cold.
Yeah? It's not going to be warm where you're going.
It's going to be warm where we're going to go, and we're very fortunate and blessed, and thank you for everybody giving us the opportunity to do this, that we can take our children, our grandchildren, our son-in-laws, and spend Christmas with them a little early and celebrate birthdays and all this fun stuff. So we're looking forward to it.
Well, you're taking the family with you, so that means there won't be any stray pictures of you in a Speedo on the beach then.
Oh, no.
That's two.
Terrifying.
Look at you. Hey, by the way,
terrifying.
it's a French island. Maybe Speedo.
French island doesn't even need the Speedo.
Yeah,
that's even more terrifying.
Thanks, now I got that in my head.
More terrifying.
I'm trying to give you something to walk away from on this thing. You've been so well behaved, and then the last
He's a
minute,
natural on the show.
Last minute, you zing me with two things. Thanks, brother.
He's a natural. Guys, Woody Fincham, Keith Smith, Judah Wickower, Jerry Miller. The show is Real Talk with Keith Smith. It airs right here. It's archived on realtalkwithkeithsmith.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Keith, you enjoy that vacation?
We'll be working. We'll be putting in a couple hours, and we'll be watching too. Maybe I'll watch live and give a couple of zings through the feeds. Give me an opportunity to think a little bit about
You
it.
absolutely should. The I Love CVille show,
Look
my
at you,
friends,
man.
is up in approximately 1 hour. Thank you kindly for joining us, and so long, everybody. Take care. Very well done, boys.